Welcome to Dark Sorcery. I'm Alfredo Martinez, and I have with me Paulo Del Pre
Yes.
and Anton Mastriani. How you doing, man? So the three of us are here. So I thought I'd go ahead and use Skype instead for this video. But how's everybody doing?
Dude, I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was working a lot. I was working a lot of overtime. So now I'm back to normal shifts. So it's feeling like I have a little bit of my life back. I am gonna miss all the extra money, but now I've just freed up a lot of time to do more rituals and doing more of stuff of what I love to do.
Great, man. Sounds good. How about you, Anton?
I'm good, man. I'm actually very good. Life is taking a new direction in terms of many aspects. A new chapter is being awoken, or a new page is being turned, and I'm looking forward to see how things go.
That's great, man. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm just staying busy. I do have a lot of pressure on me at the time, but nothing I can't get through. But yeah, so this is the first time the three of us have been on a chat here. So let's go ahead and start out with some topics here. Now, Paulo, there's something that I had heard on you mentioned on your video, and this is quote. There are people who work with random entities because they're unhappy with their life and try to use that as an escape. It's the same thing as drugs. Can you go ahead and expand on what you were trying to say there?
Yeah, so I think what I was trying to say is like, people using these gifts and these powers and these abilities just to escape their reality rather than to enhance it, I think is a very large step in the wrong direction. One, because when we're meeting entities in the astral, entities that nobody's encountered before, if we're working with spirits of nature, if we're working with elementals or anything of that nature, especially if they're not like anything from the Goetia or any of the more well-known angels. I think it's really easy to just sort of get caught up and lost into just communicating with them and just sort of trying to explore who they are when really at the end of the day, if I think if they aren't doing something for you, you should not be wasting your time with them. Right. Of course, we should try to build relationships with entities when they're willing to work with us. But I also believe that not everything in the astral is your friend. And I think that's a very common experience that all three of us share. Um, Entities like that have a great way of wasting our time. And you can work with one entity and become like really attached to it. I was just talking to somebody who was really attached to an incubus, and I had to tell them, this thing, though you may feel attached to it, though it's giving you company, it's doing nothing but draining you. What is it? What purpose is it serving other than to benefit itself? And
Right.
um, I think if we are going to be exploring different layers of the astral or different realms in the astral and encounter different entities, yes, we should be willing to record them in our book of shadows and things of that nature and how to contact them in the future. But as far as like diving into the astral just because you can, just because you want to see what's out there, I mean, what good is that really doing you? I think, um, I most of the time when I'm in the astral, most of the time it's in my temple, and most of the time it's just so I've got like that solid face-to-face connection. My last invocation with Azazel, um, I was in my temple, and the invocation was so strong that like I was still fully present in my body, but every time I closed my eyes to blink or just to close my eyes for a second, I could see him. Like that's a solid connection right there that's not going away. And he's communicating with me the whole time. And I wasn't happy with him. But that's another thing when you're building relationships with entities, like you're not always going to be happy with what they have to offer, what they say to you. But again, like I said, just exploring the astral, just for the fuck of it, dude. I think it's a waste of time. I think we have millions of better things to do with these gifts.
Commenting on some of what you said, I think that when some people work with certain entities, they forget that with some entities, it's in their nature to just drain, and they try to create these distractions. And I guess it's kind of like, comparing it to drug addiction, I guess it's kind of like, let's use some random drug, as an, like, I don't know, meth or something, like you try that, like, okay, well, some don't sound right, but this kind of feels good. You know what I mean? I'm just going to keep going with it. You just keep going with it. And all of a sudden you have an obsession, I can see how that can, working with certain entities, you can fall into that trap, and then, you're being drained, but at the same time, you kind of like it, but you're being drained, so, what do you have to say about that topic, Anton?
One, I agree 100%. Two, when comparing it to drugs, like you said at the start, it may feel fun or it may feel good, but it will get to a point that this interaction with these entities and the drainage they cause will make you feel the opposite of good or fun. You will actually start developing physical symptoms, even, or mental symptoms, anxiety, depression. Your immune system could even shut down. Stuff like along these lines. You burn out constantly, unable to function. It's very similar to drug addiction when it gets into the deeper pits of it. And in terms of interacting with spirits just for the heck of it, or to have fun, to sort of get off on their energy, that's not the way people should go about it. If you want to interact with spirits, go into it with the perspective of learning, of changing yourself, bettering yourself, not just eating their energy and getting off on it, or doing it because you're lonely. Perhaps work with a spirit to develop skills to become not lonely. Sort of view it in that sort of aspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. Now, okay, let's talk on the subject of magic and music. Now, Paulo, you had a story that you were telling us about a band member. Go ahead and jump into that.
Yeah, so let me start at the beginning. So the only reason I'm in this band was because I was getting out of my car at work early in the morning, and I was singing a fucking Creed song of all things. And one of the guys I work with was like, "Hey, Paulo, you're a pretty good singer." And I was like, "Thanks." And he goes, "My band's looking for a new lead singer." And I said, "You know what, Pete? I'm in. I don't even need to know details." And ever since then, it's developed into this like really good relationship with these dudes who are all old enough to be my fucking dad. But their old band, the old lead singer, was a witch. I guess she still is a witch. And, you don't just fucking stop. But she was a devotee of Hecate, and she had written a song, dedicated it to Hecate. It's a really nice song. I can't cover it. It's just her singing's way too different than mine. The progression of the music's way different than what I'm used to working with. But in terms of like music and magic, there is a certain power in vibrations, and there's definitely a certain power in our voice and the way that we use our voice. One spirit, I believe it was Dantalion, taught me how to tune my voice and use my voice to project different energies onto people. And it's all tone and cadence. At the end of the day, you can use your voice to calm down somebody. You can lower your voice to make somebody a little bit more sleepy. You can, even if you're in a spout of anger, you can raise your voice and then make somebody feel fear. I mean, these are all like very minor levels of magic, and using that to penetrate somebody to cause a change is really powerful. Now, when it comes to
we can see, I don't mean to cut you off, but we can see that in society already, where some people, song lyrics, they hear that over and over, and then they go do whatever they're hearing. You know,
Oh
we
yeah,
see
most
that in
definitely.
video all the time. But yeah, I just thought I'd add that. Go ahead and continue.
Yeah, and I mean, it jumps right into what I was about to say. When it comes to making music and using magic in your music, one thing that I find particularly useful when it comes to my spirituality and my practice, there are entities, there are spirits that you can invoke and work with to increase your creativity. So some entities that I've worked with is Archangel Sandalphon. I've got some familiars from Azazel. Belial shows up every now and again. And let me tell you something. When you are in the groove and everything is just perfect when you are playing music, and you can feel this too when you're listening to like a song that really resonates with you. It isn't just you understanding words and things like that. It's a feeling that hits you deep inside, and that's powerful. And learning how to tap into that power, tap into that creativity to cause a feeling, to get somebody to feel something like joy, or help somebody through grief, or just express your grief in different ways. That's something that interests me a hell of a lot, dude. And again, I'm the singer of the band. I wish I was talented enough to play an instrument, but um, I have found that like the different ways that you can sing a song that's been written and recorded, that's why you fall in love with some covers of songs, just because there's something about this artist when they cover this song that you really like hits a little bit different. um as far as the actual band practice, sometimes when you raise the energy to the point where it's tangible, some supernatural things start happening. I mean, we've had things fly off the walls. We've had lights flicker on and off. A couple weeks ago, we killed the power to 3 houses. I mean, that's something that doesn't happen every day.
Yeah.
And another thing too, I was working with Abaddon. I think it was, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago ish. But one thing popped up in my Facebook feed. It was too direct for it to be a coincidence. He said, I don't remember word for word what the post said, but it had something along the lines of music has the power to destroy negativity, right? And I hung on to that word destroy. So if I had speakers in my apartment, I would be trying to work in ways to use music in my own rituals. Dude, I love metal. I sometimes I'll put my headphones in and just jam out. I've done evocations of Azazel and Satan, playing things like Slipknot, and watching the candles all go crazy, because these entities seem to enjoy the music too. And I think sharing in that is awesome as well. But you can use music in your rituals to provoke a certain feeling that you are looking for. So if you are doing things like love work, you could put on songs that make you feel love. If you are just trying to raise as much energy as you can, dude, thrash metal, in my opinion. I haven't played around with it a lot to really understand the science behind it yet, but that's something I am going to explore once I get everything else situated in my life right now.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to hearing about that. As far as music goes, I definitely agree with you as far as the mood goes and everything. Like if it's in the morning, I'll try to play some upbeat music because I know I'm gonna have a busy day, just to kind of, or music that just certain songs that just give you energy. Because there's some slow songs that I like, but I'm not gonna play them at the beginning of the day. I'll be dragging ass all day. You know, as far as during ritual goes, I have noticed that instrumental music does help me sometimes. I have used that with success. I've noticed that certain entities respond to certain types of music. There's some entities that just like tribal drumming. You just play that and they're more likely to come because they like that, along with the offerings. But as far as music with words goes, I was talking with I did a video with Link or Nick Gillette one time. You guys might have seen it a while back, and he said if the song has words in it, it's okay to use that in ritual as long as every word corresponds to what your goal is in the ritual. And that's just stuck with me. So I've used his advice in that with success. But what do you have to say, Anton, about magic and music?
Well, in terms of the science behind it, thinking about it, what is energy? Energy is vibration. What's music? It's essentially vibration. The human body is what, 70% water, something along those lines. When you look at how water itself responds to vibration or music itself or energy, right? It changes its shape, its form. It goes to the vibration of that. So whatever sort of energy or vibration you're putting out with that music, people or things made of water, for example, will respond to that on a physical level, therefore a mental and a spiritual level. But in terms of music, speech, it's not just in music. People use these energies in everyday life, in their voice itself. When you're channeling, for example, your voice will change during the possession. A lot of politicians use these methods as well to sort of sway people over to their side. It's the tone you're using, the vibration you're using, right? It's how you speak to people as well that really resonates with them in a way. And with what Paolo was saying, with how music hits you, it's not just the lyrics, it's the way you feel. When I listen to music that hits me in a certain way, my body will go into goosebumps. My hairs will stand up. You get the raised skin. It's exactly like water. When the vibrations go through it, it goes all bumpy looking. It sort of stands up, it moves, stuff like that.
It wouldn't surprise me if a lot of politicians or musicians, if they wanted to get a certain message across, they would just mess with their throat chakra. You know what I mean? And just maybe align it a certain way, make sure there's no blockages there, because, you can get your point across if there's no blockages there a lot easier. Would you agree? Would you guys agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, let's talk a bit about Anton. You had mentioned about how people project their shadows onto other people in the world. Can you explain that?
Well, this is why it's very important to do shadow work when you begin the occult or anything spiritual. A lot of people, when they have skeletons in their closet, especially when they're aware of it, will have them leak out in an almost abusive way. The greatest example I can think of is people who are, how do I put this? People who are explicitly aggressive against people who are homosexual, for example, right? 80% of the time, they're in the closet themselves, right? It's not just a meme; it's a fact, right? It's interesting to see how they throw themselves onto others or around them. They hate what they are, for example. Things along those lines.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely see that. In a way, it's sort of like the subconscious mind, starts driving, and then all of a sudden that person's in the passenger seat without even knowing it. That's what it seems like to me. What do you think, Paulo?
I think that's a perfect way to put it. Part of the reason why we do shadow work is because the shadow exists deep in our subconscious minds. And until we shine a light on it, it will continue to remain in the subconscious mind. What we try to do in shadow work is bring it to the active and aware part of the mind so that we can learn how to integrate it, or at least accept this part about ourselves. And a lot of people don't realize that even though it's in our subconscious, if we try to hide from it, if we don't accept it, it still influences us, you know, and you would be a lot better off. At least I'm a lot better off. I can't say for other people, but I'm a lot better off knowing why I do what I do, because then I can act appropriately and have a little bit of better judgment in my day-to-day life. You know?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
This goes along the lines of addiction as well. Another way that people sort of project or throw their shadow when they're not integrated is in very self-destructive ways, not just destructive ways onto others or abusive, toxic ways onto others. For example, an addict who doesn't know why he uses, right? He has no idea. He can't explain to you why he uses beyond the fact that it feels good.
Right.
Most of the time, they're running away from themselves. There's things that they don't want to admit about themselves, things that they have repressed. Just like with working with entities to escape reality or escape yourself, there's something there that you haven't confronted. There is a skeleton in your closet that you have not faced or fought yet, right? That is majority of the case that leads to self-destructive ways, be it self-harm, drug use, alcohol, risky activities like driving recklessly, whatnot, right? Of course, there is adrenaline junkies out there who genuinely enjoy it. It's a different kind of thing, I suppose. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of self-destructive activities, self-sabotage even, causes of not confronting your shadow, having things locked away within you that you have not faced or admitted to yourself yet.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is it's like putting more chains on you, basically, if you don't address it. And then in turn that'll be like more shadow work that has to be done. But yeah. Let's go now to let's talk about the 7-day invocation. So us as two groups, Dark Sorcery and Cult of Belial, we did a 7-day Belial invocation. It's probably about maybe a few weeks ago. We all had unique experiences during that. Me personally, I started to notice certain physical I just felt really drained and tired for maybe a couple, 2-3 days. I had the hiccups for 4 days straight. They wouldn't go away. You know, I even hiccuped in my sleep. You know, but after the 7th day, they went away. And I'd say I had maybe the past couple days I had a headache. But at the same time, it's like I could feel like there was a transformation going on inside. You know, I feel like I'm a better person because of that, because of the work that was done in me. I feel like I've ascended. Let's hear about you, Paulo.
Yeah, so
What's your
there's
experience?
I brought some notes along with me because my goal for the 7-day invocation event was I wanted to understand this role as a priest and as a voice for the infernal, and I really wanted to deepen my connection with infernal so that I could speak their message better and clearer and receive messages better and clearer. And on that first day, when I asked that, I felt like this cloak of like pure black energy be draped over me. And then on the second day was a little bit rough for me because it ended up turning into sort of a little bit of a path working, you know, and that was like the last thing that I expected. You know, I expected, you know, lots of energy to just be pumped through me and experience it mostly on an energetic level. But the thing that Belial brought to my attention on the second day was a lot of visions of people that I really cared about, people in my life, things that I enjoyed. things that at the end of the day really didn't serve me all that much.
Mm.
And then clear as day, Belial said, "How much will you sacrifice for this?" And I started bawling, dude.
Mm.
And I mean, that was a lot for me all at once. And I didn't know how to go forward. Next day, Belial had said one word, temperance. And as I focused on that one word,
Right.
the rest of the message began to come through. You know, what is temperance? Temperance is having control of your actions and having control of your thoughts. You know, I know what's right and what's wrong. I know how to speak from my heart. You know, I can speak on what I know, and I can speak about what I can't speak on what I don't know, but I'm able to differentiate the true from the false. You know, and he also told me to value silence. You know, people who often speak the loudest have nothing to say. You know, that was some really profound shit that Belial said to me.
That's very. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that that's very true of what he told you, because oftentimes that's why you notice in a lot of interviews I do, I don't like to talk over people. I don't like to interrupt people a lot, because I feel like if there's just a little bit of silence, they have more to add on to that, or they have something that I can learn from that they tell. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Whereas if I'm just trying to get my opinion across, or if I'm just trying to talk over them, I'm going to miss out on some knowledge that they have, some wisdom. And that's just not with talking on YouTube, but in my everyday life, that's a very good skill. If I'm talking with my boss and I have a point in my head that I'm trying to get across to him, if I just live a little bit of silence and let him talk a little more, he's going to teach me something. But continue.
Absolutely, 100%. The next following days, it sort of kind of becomes a mashup of what happened on what day. But I remember one of the days, Belial had said that I am to treat him like family, and for a couple days, I was like, okay, so I'm some sort of child of Belial now, whatever. But then I came across a post where that message sort of became different, and it was more like family in the sense of like a mafia boss. I don't remember what post it was that I saw, but that made a lot more sense to me. Because nothing, when you're working with entities, nothing is for free. There is a cost. Again, and I go back to that second day. How much am I willing to sacrifice for this?
Yeah.
And at a certain point during one of the invocations, it was so strong and powerful. I was going in and out of full possessions. I became willing. I was like, fuck this. Let it all fucking burn, dude. If I know that if I go through with this, my life will change for the better. I will change for the better. And I became entirely fucking willing to do it. And it's like this flood of energy entered into me, and it was a very intimate moment for me. I think on day 6, I had been complaining to somebody, and I was like, I was complaining that Azazel hadn't been around as often as I would like him to be. On that 6th day, he showed up with Belial, and they were both giving me visions, and these were more troubling visions. I had visions of me walking with them over piles of skeletons and bodies, and they said, as you are right now, you probably won't survive. And looking back at that now, I think of how many people can get lost in this path and sort of lose themselves and just be thrown to the wayside. And I told them, I was like, if I am not going to survive as I am now, then help me change. And that just comes with working with them. That just comes with communicating with them. That just comes with pursuing that alchemy, pursuing the divine. And then on the 7th day, I felt like I was brand new. And I forget what exactly he said for the group, but I think it was something along the lines of, be careful about your desires, because your desires might lead to your downfall. And then he gave me a sigil, to give to the group, which is in the group right now, to sort of enhance psychic communication, and sort of begin some form of alchemy with the king.
Okay. Now, going back to one thing you said during day 6, you had mentioned about where you had said it's so easy for some people to get lost on this path and then just get thrown to the wayside, which that reminds me, so many people, a lot of people on this path, grew up religious, and then they look at, how bad things are there, and they say, well, this is my safe zone over here. It can't be like that over here. So then they leave that and then come over here and don't realize that this is just as or more vicious. People trying to take advantage of you, people trying to rip you off, people having bad intentions, just like organized religion might. And you really have to think for yourself and look inward and develop spiritually and on all levels to counter that. No matter which path you take, no matter which path you take. But Anton, go ahead and tell us about your experiences.
In terms of my experiences, I don't have them remembered day by day because the week became a bit fuzzy as the week went on. But in the early stages of the week, I sat down, invoked him, and we sort of had a chat, both visually and clairaudiently, right? Mm-hmm. And for a while before this, I had not like a blockage, but I lost passion for the occult. I lost passion for teaching people, which is something that I really enjoyed and still do enjoy. My magic became stale. I lost my touch. Magic lost its special glamour. And he reminded me of what I was like when I first entered this path. I was so hungry for knowledge, so passionate about this. I like how I am with my fighting. I just constantly every day meditated for hours throughout the day, tried my hardest and my best to contact and connect with these spirits, to build the relationship I have with them now. And he showed me everything that I have, that I've let go, everything I've sacrificed to get to the level I'm at now, and to build what I have built and become the person that I have become, how far I've gone. Mm-hmm. And he just sort of sat there and he's like, are you going to go back to that? Are you going to go back to all of this? Are you going to take charge of your life again, sort of? And it something clicked in me that night. I can't put it into words, but it's like almost like a black flame of fire in me just burst again. And it's that blockage was removed, and my magic became what it once was. My channelings became very clear again. My connection with Belial became very strong once more. I even cried that night a little bit. I'll admit that.
All good.
I got a bit teary.
All good.
No, that's right. But it was a very beautiful moment between me and him. Throughout the week, he wasn't very harsh with me. Like every experience I've had with him, he's been like a drill sergeant, but very blunt, very truthful, the harsh honesty, I like to call it. But he wasn't like that. He was very soft with me, almost like I needed that softness because I had so hard on myself for so long to sort of perfect myself in all aspects of life. And that night, he showed me the Knights of Belial, his knights. Gave me a sigil. It's in the group for people to work with. People can work with them for protection, for baneful magic, all sorts of things. Now, sort of mid to the week, things in my job became more complicated. I was having a lot more attention brought onto me from managers and whatnot. Circumstances around my life were shifting. And he sort of said to me, are you the captain of your ship, or are you going to let someone else drive your ship for you? I don't know really what he meant, but the position of the job I was in was not something I really wanted to do. It's something that I was always told, get this job, it's a good job. You'll do well in life if you do it. And I just sort of went, yeah, sure, why not? But I never really had any interest or passion for it. And it was just mundane to me. And I sort of sat there and went, why am I doing what other people want me to do? Am I my own master, or are other people my master, sort of thing? The lesson of being masterless, right? And he reminded me that in this world, you can be whatever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do. There are consequences, sure. There's certain things you have to do to what you want in this world, sure. But the world is your oyster. It is your playground. And we sat for a bit, and I meditated on what I want to be in life, in terms of outside of the occult. And I came to a conclusion. Anyways, this ended up to me getting a interview at a different job, a job that I'm much more passionate about, something that is an interest, and I've got it now. And just massive shifts in life all around. Me reclaiming the what's the word for the driving wheel for a ship? I don't know the word, but me reclaiming my ship, so to speak, setting my own sail, choosing my own destination, my own path, certain aspects of my life. On all of that, the way I walked and talked changed all week. I was very charismatic. Usually I'm a lot more self-reserved. You know, I like to listen, sit and listen, not really speak much when I'm around people, but I was a lot more charismatic, outspoken, in a good way, of course, and built connections with people in my community, within the gyms around the area, stuff like that, which is something he helps a lot with, being political, building connections this way. And it was really cool. I liked it a lot. I didn't feel very drained, though. I felt more heavy, but full of strength, if that makes sense. The way I trained throughout the week was very different. The whole style of fighting I had during sparring actually shifted only for that week, though, which was interesting. It's like whenever I sparred, his energy or him was within me. And just the whole style was completely different. I found it very, very interesting. So that was more my experience with it.
Yeah, that kind of ties in with what Belial had told Paulo. How much will you sacrifice for this? You know, in looking at everything, and I'm sure that you're going to succeed more in your new job since you have passion for it. So, now let's talk a bit about protection. Now, so many people think they have valid protection, but they don't. Now, we were talking before this video, and we had mentioned about using protection different ways with ingredients and what have you. Let's go ahead and hear from you, Paulo.
Yeah, so what I have done recently to up my protection, when it comes to protecting against all kinds of negative energies, I find it best personally for me to work with angels. They have a way of just sort of purifying anything negative that gets sent in your direction. And that can come in all forms. It can come from people casting baneful magic attacks against you. It could come from negative attitudes in the workplace or in your social life.
Right.
And I have found that even just by invoking angels specifically geared towards protection, so you've got Michael, Camael, Celia, Demabia, those entities, just by invoking them, you sort of get a layer of protection. And I have invoked probably dozens of angels all at once, and that sort of protection it really does feel like you can't be harmed. Now, I took this a step further. What I've done is I've created a angelic talisman, and I used 3 of the Shem angels that you read about what they do, and they're all geared towards protection of all kinds. Mm-hmm. And on the outside, in Hebrew, I put Psalm 121, verse 7. I don't know off the top of my head what that psalm is.
Right.
And then at the bottom, it is the name of God, Elohim Gabor, which means mighty God. Now, when it comes to charging these talismans, what I'll do is I'll invoke as many instances of these entities as I can. I'll use I use like a little bit tweaked version of the lesser invoking ritual. And then once I've got all, like, maybe a few dozen of these visualizations and angels in the room, and I can see all their energies and everything's all good, I'll take one deep inhale while I'm looking at that talisman. And then when I exhale, I see it all collapse into that talisman. And then that talisman is charged. And I keep it out in the open in my home. I have thought about putting it as a tattoo on my back. I think it'd be a badass looking tattoo. Here, I'll show it real quick.
Yeah,
I don't know how well this is gonna show up on video, but this is the talisman. Again, it's just the sigils of the angels on the inside. It's got the Hebrew on the outside. I've always wanted some sort of occult tattoo on my neck, but that won't fit on my neck. It's gonna go on my back. But you don't even have to really put it in ink on your body if you wanted to put talismans on your body. One method that I've found very useful that I've done before, that entities have actually done to me unasked for. If you gaze at any sigil, okay, and then you look at yourself in a mirror where you want to put this sigil, what you then have to do is focus that visualization as strong and as clear as you can on any location in your body. And then when you take an inhale, you want to see it glow brighter. And when you exhale, you want to see that energy stay in. Okay. And it's almost like, when you're fanning the fires on a coal, how it glows a little bit. That's exactly the way that you want to see this. And if you do this right, you will feel it being projected onto your body. And then every now and again, as you maybe you're not paying attention, if you walk past a mirror, you'll see that glow. I've had entities scratch sigils onto my body. I've had entities burn me. I've had them place sigils on my head. When you create something of your own that's like that, I think it's a lot more powerful than having an entity do it for you, because you can feel that magic working on yourself.
That's interesting. I wonder how good you would sleep if you just put that under your bed.
Probably really good, dude.
I mean, if you feel drained and stuff, I'm sure that's the answer to it.
Yeah.
So let's hear from you, Anton.
Just going back to what Paolo said about it being much more powerful if you put it on your body yourself. There's something that we possess that spirits don't. That is the physical body, physical blood. That's why blood magic and magic is extremely powerful, and it's something that only we as beings with physical bodies can do. What you're talking about is a mixture of blood and tattoo magic and protection magic. So it would be something tremendously powerful in terms of protection. I've done that with a tattoo that I have on my ankle of my own version of the evil eye, and the Lucifer sigil on my chest. But going in terms of my own protection, I like to go with wards more than anything. One thing that bothered me is wards usually either scare stuff off or retaliate. I wanted something a bit more intricate, something more, something that benefits me if they try to attack me, right? So I channeled a transmutation vampiric ward. What this ward does is it takes any negative energy thrown your way, any attack, any curse, any hex, and it eats it and turns it into raw power. Now, it feeds itself this power. It's almost like it's alive, like it's its own spirit or entity, servitor, egregore, whatever you want to call it. It eats this energy, not only to sustain itself, so you don't have to keep redoing this ward, but also feeds you this energy. So you literally get a boost in energy whenever you're attacked, any negativities thrown your way. But you also have physical effects, so more youthful, more strength, more speed. You sleep better. You wake up not tired. things along these lines. But not only does it take this negative energy and turn it into power, but it also latches onto the person throwing it at you and feeds off of them, drains them. So that's something that sort of I went about doing. It's more of a jar thing, but when you with all the sigils, all the ingredients, it becomes like an egregore, a servitor, so to speak, and it acts on its own.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, well, do you guys have anything that you guys are working on as far as the Cult of Belial group goes? Anything that we should be looking forward to?
I will say that coming up very soon, we're figuring out a way on how to announce it. There is something that I feel a lot of people will be excited about, and this is separate from the book that we're working on.
Okay.
This is going to be more on a personal level from interacting in person. So just stay tuned for that. I'm sure we'll announce it once we figure out everything.
Okay. Anything you'd like to add on to that, Anton?
Beyond the book, we'll have a lot more content coming out, a lot more channel stuff, channel sigils, more videos coming out. So keep an eye out. That's all I have to add.
All right. So everybody who's watching, check the video description below. Once again, I will have all the links to Cult of Belial, their YouTube channel, their Facebook group, their Instagram page. Just check all of it out. Subscribe to it. A lot of good stuff that on there that you won't find anywhere else. And I will say this is that there's a lot of occult groups that or channels that you go to, and a lot of it is just rehashed information. You know, you hear it from one person, you'll hear it from another person. But with Cult of Belial, you will find that a lot of their information comes out from them. So it's you know, certain things you only hear from them. Check it out. Also, everybody who's watching, like and subscribe to Dark Sorcery, all our platforms. We just added 2 new platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Now we're on BitChute. I hope I said it right. And Twitter, which is now called X. But all those links too in the video description. Guys, it's been a very good conversation. I really like doing this. We should do it again sometime.
Hell yeah, brother.
All right. Like and subscribe to Dark Sorcery and Cult of Belial.